Caligula, formerly known as Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, was the third Roman emperor, who achieved feats of waste and carnage during his 4-year reign. Records depict him as cruel and unpredictable leader. He restored treason trials and put people to death, and unmatched even by his infamous nephew Nero. Caligula was born in Antium, the third of 6 surviving children born to Roman popular general, Germanicus, and his second cousin, Agrippina the Elder. Gaius had 2 older brothers, Nero and Drusus, as well as 3 younger sisters. He was also a nephew of Claudius, the future emperor. As a boy, Gaius accompanied his father Germanicus on campaigns in the north of Germania. The soldiers were amused that Gaius was dressed as soldier, including boots and armor. Germanicus was poisoned in Syria by an agent of Tiberius, who viewed Germanicus as a political rival. Agrippina and Caligula's brother Nero were banished on charges of treason. Caligula planned to kill Tiberius with a dagger, to avenge his mother and brother. However, he did not kill the emperor, but instead threw the dagger down on the floor. In 33, Tiberius gave Caligula an honorary quaestorship, a position he held until his rise to emperor. Meanwhile, both Caligula's mother and his brother Drusus died in prison. Upon the death of Tiberius, Caligula became the co-emperor of the Roman Empire, with Tiberius' son Gemellus. Soon, Caligula became the lone ruler with the death of Gemellus. Caligula was proclaimed emperor by the Senate. The citizens of Rome welcomed the young emperor. He was loved by many for being the beloved son of the popular Germanicus. Caligula soon earned this admiration, and ended the treason trials instituted by Tiberius, and gave long overdue bonuses to the Praetorian Guard. He helped those who had been harmed by the imperial tax system, banished certain sexual deviants. There were numerous gladiator games, and chariot races to entertain the people. Caligula collected and brought back the bones of his mother and of his brothers, and deposited their remains in the tomb of Augustus. Within 6 months everything has changed. After coming close to death, Caligula became a different person. Many believed that the illness turned the young emperor devil. He was more paranoid. After having reduced the taxes earlier in his reign, he raised them in order to pay for his excess. He had his father-in-law Marcus Junius Silanus, and his brother-in-law Marcus Lepidus executed. His uncle Claudius was spared, only because he wanted to keep him as a laughing stock. Caligula was criticized for executing people without full trials, and for forcing the Praetorian prefect Macro to commit suicide. A financial crisis emerged in 39. Caligula's political payment for support, generosity and extravagance had exhausted the state's treasure. To gain funds, Caligula asked the public to lend the state money. He levied taxes on lawsuits, weddings and prostitution. Despite financial difficulties, Caligula embarked on a number of construction projects during his reign. Some were for the public good, others were for himself. Caligula completed the Temple of Augustus, and the Theatre of Pompey, and began an amphitheatre beside the Scepter. He expanded the imperial palace. Caligula had 2 large ships constructed for himself. The ships were amongst the largest vessels in the ancient world. The smaller ship was designed as a temple dedicated to Diana. The larger ship was essentially an elaborated floating palace with marble floors and plumbing. In 40, Caligula expanded the Roman Empire into Mauritania, and made a significant attempt at expanding into Britannia. The conquest of Britannia was later achieved during the reign of Claudius. He began implementing very controversial policies that introduced religion into political role. He began referring himself as a god. Finally, after only 4 years as emperor, in January 41 AD, Caligula was murdered by members of the Praetorian Guard, led by Cassius Chaera. Fearing for his own life, and the only surviving adult male, Claudius was named the new emperor of Roman Empire.